SMT Nation, we are back. And if you're wondering why I'm super small here in the corner, that's because you need to see this image on the screen. For this video, I want to take a look at coverage and comparing Verizon and T-Mobile. I think a lot of people would agree they would love to do business with T-Mobile. They would love to pay, better prices for plans if those plans are, cheaper compared to, say, for example, Verizon. There are some versions of Verizon plans that are quite pricey. T-Mobile also has very pricey plans, but there's some kind of setups and there's some deals from T-Mobile which are very good, and customers would love to leave Verizon, but they can't. And the reason why they can't is because Verizon continues to lead in coverage compared to AT&T and T-Mobile. Now, in some cases, T-Mobile's network is going to be adequate and just fine. In fact, most places it's adequate and just fine. There's just going to be some situations, scenarios, and areas where it's not. And it's just not enough. It's not available enough, right? There are locations in the U.S. where this is the case. And then there's some situations where AT&T has the coverage and Verizon doesn't, T-Mobile doesn't. We can nitpick this all day long, but just as a general national footprint, the one thing that we can't avoid is the fact that LTE networks, 4G LTE networks, are larger than the available 5G networks. And overall networks are evaluated based on 4G LTE and 5G availability. So it's a combination of everything. So here is the FCC data from the percentage of area covered by both Verizon and T-Mobile. Verizon on your left, T-Mobile on your right. Now, the percentage may not seem like a big deal, but we are talking about percent coverage across the United States. This is not points of presence. This is not pops covered. This is just literally geography. And Verizon's network is seriously larger. T-Mobile's at 43% of the landmass covered. Verizon appears to be closer to maybe 56%. I'm just estimating based on what I see here on the screen. You can give me your estimate if you think I'm wrong, but this is according to the FCC coverage maps. So something that we've been looking for and tracking is the T-Mobile network to get bigger, to get larger, to get more available, and it has. And we're really happy about that, and we celebrate it every chance we get. The only thing is they still lag behind the main coverage leader across the country, right? And that's typically Verizon. So there are some people who simply cannot negotiate the coverage. They need the coverage. They don't have the ability to kind of say, well, T-Mobile's going to give me a better deal, or I don't like Verizon, I want to deal with T-Mobile. They may want to do that, but they can't because literally the coverage may not be there in some of those instances. Verizon just, they're a more well-established network. They have acquired many small regional players over the last couple of decades. They've built towers across more regions, more states, vast amounts of open space where T-Mobile just simply hasn't gotten to yet and may never get there. That's very possible. When they do these analytics, when they run these cost effective measures, it's like, well, if we build this tower site, it's going to cost us $750,000 or whatever, and it's going to be a drive site. It's like the only time people connect to it is when they drive by it. Nobody lives out there or whatever. It's like, how do we get the return on that investment, right? So there's a version of that where that is the case, and some people just simply can't negotiate it. Now, we have seen the coverage increase from T-Mobile, and with the Sprint acquisition, Sprint keep sites, zero builds and new towers that T-Mobile has built since 2020, they definitely have increased their reach, but they just simply pale in comparison to Verizon. Like, you can't go out west, right, in the western part of the U.S. and say, if you're on the open roadways, if you're a truck driver, if you're an explorer, a nomad, T-Mobile's going to be a hard sell. You know what I mean? And I think that's a lot of where this comes from. This coverage discrepancy is coming in locations like that. So again, this is not about city coverage. In a city, you can choose whoever you want. AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. It simply does not matter. This is everywhere else. And to this day, Verizon still leads there. And that's still something that T-Mobile is going to have to improve if and when they ever become in true network parity with Verizon. The big red carrier still has the big available network. And the nice thing about, obviously the whole like C-band deployment and network modernization initiative and program, the Verizon network is also getting much younger, getting upgraded, modernized, and adding tons of new capacity as we speak. And that should continue in the coming years. But tell me, how much are you willing to negotiate coverage? Is it a make or break deal for you? Are you willing to go stretches of miles on the open freeway without a signal? Most people probably would say no, but hey, everybody's got a certain threshold for tolerance, right? And let me know if you're a T-Mobile customer and you've had to kind of negotiate those things to yourself. Let me know if you're a Verizon customer and you wish you didn't have to be. You'd rather be somewhere else, but they've got the network for you. Share your experiences with me. Sound off in the comment section below. You're the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.